History is rife with tales of power, faith, and the clash between the two. One such story, etched deeply into the fabric of England, is the tale of a king named Henry VIII. His actions rippled through centuries, forever altering a nation's spiritual landscape. It was the 16th century. Religion, specifically the Roman Catholic Church, held immense sway over both kings and commoners. But then came Henry, a king consumed by desire and the need for a male heir. His actions shattered the status quo. So why, you may ask, did King Henry VIII create the Church of England? To grasp the significance of Henry's seismic decision, we must first understand the key players in this saga. There's Henry, of course, bold and headstrong, obsessed with securing the Tudor dynasty and leaving a legacy of power. Then there's Pope Clement VII, the powerful leader of the Roman Catholic Church, caught between pleasing a powerful monarch and upholding the sacred laws of his faith. He holds in his hands the power that could grant Henry the annulment he so desperately seeks. And let's not forget another pivotal figure, Anne Boleyn. Henry's eyes fell upon this alluring lady-in-waiting, a woman with a fiery spirit and sharp wit. He became convinced she would bear him the son he craved, fueling his ambition even more. But there was a problem. Henry was already married to Catherine of Aragon, his brother's widow. Pious, devoted, and well-loved by the people, she had become an obstacle to his desire. She had given him a daughter, Princess Mary, but in Henry's eyes a son was not just an heir, but a symbol of his strength as a king. It was this complex triangle, Henry, Catherine, and Anne, that set the stage for a clash that would not only change England forever, but also alter the course of European history. Henry's patience wasn't just wearing thin, it had shattered completely. For years, he had petitioned Pope Clement VII to grant him an annulment of his marriage to Catherine of Aragon, a union that hadn't produced the male heir he craved. Yet the Pope, unwilling to defy Catherine's mighty nephew, Emperor Charles V, stalled and withheld his consent. Frustration mounted. Then, in 1533, a defiant Henry did the unthinkable. He secretly married Anne Boleyn. Events spiraled further when Anne fell pregnant, forcing a final explosive confrontation with Rome. Thomas Cromwell, with his calculating mind and political cunning, exploited the situation. He helped orchestrate a series of parliamentary acts in 1534, including the Act of Supremacy, which declared Henry VIII as the supreme head of the Church of England. The centuries-old bond with the papacy was severed. Alongside Cromwell, Thomas Cranmer, Archbishop of Canterbury, became a key figure in shaping what this new Church of England would be. Cranmer, with his reformist leanings, saw an opportunity to break with Rome's excesses and recenter faith on the scriptures. Over the following years, laws flowed forth stripping the Pope's authority, while also targeting monasteries that held immense power and wealth. With brutal efficiency between 1536 and 1541, Henry's dissolution of the monasteries confiscated their lands and treasures, enriching the crown and its allies. English Bibles proliferated, translating the Word of God from scholarly Latin into the language of the populace. While this new faith outwardly mirrored Catholicism in many rites, the central change was undeniable. This was a national church, with the king as its ultimate authority. But the birth of the Church of England came with a staggering cost. Those loyal to the Catholic faith were branded enemies of the state, some even suffered as martyrs. The religious divide tore at the fabric of England. Protestant reformers, emboldened by the split from Rome, pushed for even greater change, while Catholics clung to their beliefs in secret. The turmoil wouldn't fade quickly. Religious conflict would simmer and erupt across the reigns of Henry's successors, Edward VI, Mary I, and Elizabeth I. It was a wound that scarred the nation for centuries. The question lingers, did Henry truly gain what he sought? A son did arrive, the future Edward VI, but at a terrible price. Did this break with Rome justify the turmoil and bloodshed it unleashed? This, every keen student of history must decide for themselves. The echoes of Henry VIII's defiance of Rome are not confined to dusty history books. His decision, driven by personal desire, dynastic ambition, and a dash of spiritual reform, reverberates to this very day. The Church of England he forged remains a potent force, its spiritual leader being both the head of the Church and the symbolic head of the wider Anglican communion worldwide. questions of faith, identity, and tradition still swirl around it and spark passionate debate. So I ask you, dear viewer, what can we, centuries removed from Henry's turbulent reign, glean from his tale? Was he a revolutionary who gave his nation spiritual freedom, a tyrant who ruthlessly imposed his will, or a complex man buffeted by forces both great and petty? The answer perhaps lies somewhere in between these extremes. History reminds us that the lines between faith, power, and human ambition are often blurred. It's a lesson as relevant today as it was on that fateful day when a king decided his own earthly desires outweighed the will of a pope. And remember, history is an ongoing dialogue. If you found this journey into Henry's England intriguing, please like this video, share it, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel to join me as we uncover more of those defining moments that shaped our world.